Okay.
Well, a very warm welcome back to the Andrew Eborn show with me, Andrew Eborn, and my favourite bit, the A and E, the accident and emergency, or the Andrew and Errol bit of the show. Errol, welcome back. Nice to see you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
What I
Thank
love
you.
about this is we unpack all the stories, and Elon is dominating the headlines. It was P.T. Barnum who said, if you want to draw a crowd, start a fight. Well, Elon's brilliant at starting these fights and shining spotlights on issues all around the world. And one of the things that he's always claiming is that we are the media now. The legacy media is dead. What's your
Yes.
take on that?
Oh, well, I joined Twitter when it was Twitter. It must be 8 years ago or something. And then I suddenly found that I didn't really put anything out. And I saw that I'd been putting out 500 messages or posts. And I read some of these posts, and then I realized, well, first of all, there were pictures of my family and things that I was saying, but the language was crude. So I thought, well, what's this? But it turned out, cut a long story short, somebody else pretending to be me. And so I had to try and get rid of it, you see, which I did try and get rid of it. Now, of course, we have the verified and unverified situation. So at the present time, there are 12 Elon Musks on X, and one is me. And I have been pressed by my family and by others to get back onto X, which I have done in the quite recently, in fact. And I'm stunned by the total how can I put it the totally enveloping capability of X. It's incredible. You know what I mean? You can find out about anything at all, and it's just extraordinary. My as an engineer, my thoughts go to their database. Databases is where you keep all the information, and I've seen some huge databases in my lifetime, and I just think, well, the databases must be gigantic to handle this amount of information going through all the time. No, X is extraordinary, and
It
it's
is quite
actually
true.
quite.
What I always love about, and I've also looked, data is the new currency, effectively, is that this new thing as well, which Elon's launched, Grok, which is the alternative to Chat GPT, and it's superb. I love it, and you're launching yet another version of that, but it's great for research. I often use it when researching the Andrew Eborn show to look at different comments, and you use that, and it will pull in all these news stories. So all praise to Grok. Have you tried that?
No, I haven't. I have tried Chat GTP, and I found it extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. In fact, I use it. I was angry about something, so I made a few sort of wild, angry comments, and it came back and soothed me down. Told me, to calm down and see things like this and see things like that. I was quite amazed. I couldn't believe it. I haven't really done much else with it, but yes. And then coming back to EXO, I just want to say that it's compulsive. So the first thing you do when you wake up, and now I mean it's terrible, is you go to X and see your what for you, the for you part quickly, to see what's happening for you. And this is bad. When you go to bed at night, the last thing you do is see what's for you. I mean, this is not good. It's not too good, I suppose. I don't know.
Well, it's great access. What I love about it's the seismic advances there's been in AI and technology and general access to information. They were saying for Chat GPT that chatting. I think there was a research done by the University in California, San Diego, and they basically said chatting to Chat GDP was better than chatting to your GP because it could be more empathetic. It can give you more access to information. And I would love the state. It's an organization I'm working with called Science with Soul, which is basically trying to get access to all doctors. If they had access to every bit of research, every bit of information on their desktop at their GP surgery, how much more powerful would that be than having people to wait for diagnosis and risking other bits and pieces? Information is power, isn't it?
Well, yes, I mean, it's been growing all the time. I mean, I go back 25, 20 years, let's say. and you had Alta Vista, and you went on there to find out something. Today, I don't go through a day without going to usually Google, I suppose, but sometimes other sites, and asking, finding out something that I didn't know about. And so it's become part of our culture now, and it's getting bigger. And you see it in children. You see it in small children. I have a 7-year-old, and he's more or less computer literate. I mean, he's better than me, and on many things. And so you see what if you're able to. It's not easy to look into the future, and you see what the future really means. It means a kind of human being in the future that is hugely more informed than we ever were informed, if you know what I mean. So yes, so is it good? I mean, obviously it's good. Obviously it's good.
Seismic changes and the curing of diseases we never thought possible. Seismic changes in robotics. I mean, the whole world, every industry. What I love about Elon is the ultimate disruptor on that sort of basis. Is that it gets rid of the boring administrative jobs, makes everything much more efficient, and everything else. One thing is really good. Well, lots of things are really good about X. Is that Elon changed his name fairly recently to Keki Maximus on X, which is quite exotic. There was no explanation for the name change, but it did feature a new profile image featuring Pepe the Frog, who is depicted in Roman military attire holding what seemed to be a game console. And that's the meme which is used sometimes by what they call far-right groups and other communities. The name change caused a bit of a surge in the value of a meme coin called Kek. And obviously he's got a big history in influencing crypto prices through social media. Talk to me about what might be happening, to the extent you can, in this whole currency side.
Well, people are tokenizing things. So they tokenize some idea or some some new thing that they have. Could be physical, could be something imaginary, and they tokenize it. And it has a lesson in it. Often has a lesson in it, or something for people to get something out of it. And I think Kekius Maximus is that. And if you start going into it, you build up these tokens, and you can earn tokens, and tokens eventually are in some or other way convertible to money at some point. Because it's the way it works. And we have one that I've seen called Just Musk It, which is a meme, which is they've approached me about it for permission to do it. And I said, that's fine, is to not lose the Musk name, and that the Musk name becomes part of the English language, which means when you musk something, that you do it properly, you fix something properly, you tackle something that nobody else wants to tackle. So that's called musking it with this new meme. It's a similar thing to Kekius Maximus, I believe. I'm not involved in it. And so these are new sort of like bitcoins and things that people are putting together that have some kind of inherent value. And if you partake in it, you depending on your contribution or something or other, you can earn tokens. And the tokens later on can be exchanged for other tokens, and in some cases can be exchanged for real, currency. You can sell your share of your tokens to people who want them in something, and they will buy them from you. And so it's a new form of commerce, and it's a new form of game playing, a new form of interesting human behavior. And I don't think anything wrong with it. I think it's wonderful.
I think, and I love going back to your musket side, just musket. I like in the way that sort of Nike would just do it, and making the Musk name. I think it's there already, but making it part of our language has got to be something that makes you proud, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Well, of course, pride is one of the 7 deadly sins. So I think one doesn't want to say it makes you proud, but it's pleasing. It's very pleasing.
Yeah. Oh no,
It's
I
nice.
think in a right way, you're allowed to celebrate success. So I've often had this conversation with you. We're very bad in the UK about we sort of resent success sometimes, but it's a US thing that people like to celebrate success, and that's okay, isn't it?
What is that again?
Oh, you can
Say,
celebrate success. I think celebrating success
oh
is a
yes,
good thing to do.
yes. In America, America brought out a new thing among people. I won't say it's only America, but I certainly know it is America. That people were proud of their achievements, and you could talk about your achievements. In the sort of English world, which I grew up in, and certainly in this country, it was taken up in the same way. It was considered to be highly good to be modest. So even if you had been a very successful person, you were expected to be terribly modest about it, which made you a better person. And that isn't the way it is in America. In America, I've explained, like with Donald Trump, if you went to him and said, I'm looking at putting up a building, are you any good at it? And he would say, oh, I'm the best. I'm the best person in the whole of New York. There's nobody better than me. In our world where I lived in, if you went to someone like that, they'd say, well, I'm not sure if I'm the best, but I can certainly try. Well, certainly after that, you go and look for somebody else.
Yeah,
Because
of course you do. I think you want somebody, you've got to be confident in yourself and be proud of your
yes,
achievements.
you wouldn't want to go to somebody who's not sure of themselves, you know. So
Well, I think Donald's
but
certainly sure of himself. I think
once again,
that's absolutely right. There was going back to the
can I just say
cryptocurrency.
one thing?
Yeah,
Can I just say something? Churchill again, he said you should only be modest if you've got a lot to be modest about.
it's true.
But
Yeah,
that's
no,
good.
glorious point. And a good lesson to be made. Now, the leak, going back to the cryptocurrency stuff, there was a leak on X that Elon could imminently be rolling out X money, a game-changing payment feature. Do you know anything about that?
Oh, I've heard about a little bit about it because the idea of X was that it's possible to turn it into to absorb all things like a search engine, payment system, banking system, transfer system of money. That was what the plan was.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's certainly what
so
Elon said at the beginning. He
I'm
was
not
going to do this thing
surprised.
like China's WeChat, wasn't it? They were going to integrate payments and other features.
Yes. So the idea is, why just be a platform when you've got all this, hardware, all the software and hardware in all these databases, and you can also be a money conveyancing system. You can also be a banking system. You can also, be, as you mentioned earlier, become, virtual doctors,
Yeah.
and such like. Why
But
would you
really exciting.
not
Well,
do that
Lily
if you can?
Yaccarino, if that's the correct pronunciation, X's CEO, she confirmed that X Money's 2025 launch, urging users to buckle up. So I think that's got to be good.
I don't know, but I'm not sure what the names are. But I would only think that's a logical next step. You wouldn't want to just remain if you have the technical know-how, why would you just remain a platform for people to express opinions? I mean, if you can go to all the different branches of life, and and you can go into X pregnancy, for example, for new couples, and if somebody has a case of some kind that they have to deal with in court or something, and they go to X court issues or something like that. Why not? Why do you have to limit it? No, you can do all that. And as you pointed out, you get really good information. And you'll be given all the right information. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I think
And
that
people
that's the
will be paid,
brilliant thing.
and
Brilliant
people
thing
will
about
be
that.
paid for their contribution. So if you have been someone who's contributed to that information, you will no doubt receive payment for it as a professional or whatever.
Yeah,
So
it's a great, well,
sounds
as I say,
good.
it's the great disruptor, and looking at that sort of base, there are going to be more seismic changes in that sort of stuff. I want to look at the US situation at the moment, and a lot of journalists are just turning around the world are talking about the relationship between Elon and Donald Trump, and it's all going to have the inauguration in the next few weeks on the 20th of January. One particular writer in the Guardian said, "Look, Trump is a little guy, Musk is a big guy, and he's predicting trouble for the president-elect."
No.
This historian is called Timothy Snyder, and he warned of Elon's significant influence over Donald Trump. What's your take on that?
Well, that's people doing, what's the right word for it? A little bit of mischief,
Ah,
you know.
yes.
So it's you go to one of your friends and you say, or rather, let's assume it's friends. You go to one of your friends and you say, "I don't like what so and so said about you," and then it was one of the other friends, and then the chap says, "Well, what do you say about me?" And I said, "Well, I can't tell you, I just don't think he's right." And all you've done there is you've just broken up a friendship. You've managed to break up a friendship. So and perhaps lifted yourself into a better notch with the guys that you're talking with. You know what I mean? So yes, that's what's happening there. No, where you have a very nice advantage with Trump and Elon. Trump is a man of 78, so he is not a peer of Elon's. He's 78. Elon is 53, and a very young 53 for that matter. Of course, Trump is also quite a young 78. But the point is, they are of different generations. Their arguments are not, they're not fighting each other as two cocks in a barrel, or what do you call it? They are from different, they come from different levels. And so that's very handy, that's very useful. So you might tell me that Elon's partner, who's about his age, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Elon are not seeing eye to eye. And I might actually take it and say, "Oh, yes, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right about that." But when you tell me Trump and Elon, no, that's the difference there is, if I might use a sort of patronizing sort of thing, it's father and son type of thing.
Yeah.
And so, no, there's an inbuilt respect from Elon's side for simply the fact that Trump is an older man and is old enough to be his father. And Trump, on the other hand, is aware that Elon is a younger man and needs perhaps to learn certain things that he hasn't learned yet. And so, no, I see no problem at all in that relationship. However, there will be people who will be doing the "I've heard this about you," or going to say, "I heard this, he said this about you, and I don't want to tell you what he really said because you won't like it." That's how you go about destroying people's relationships.
And it happens throughout history, doesn't it? And I always say what Joan says about Susan says more about Joan than it does about Susan. I mean, it's all that sort of stuff. You have to question everything. But this is what this historian Snyder is saying. Trump appears financially dependent on Elon Musk, for his campaign funding and other initiatives.
Well, no, I mean, it's not that. The people in politics have terrible, terrible expenses. I mean, I think I mentioned before that to put a 20-second, 30-second ad in America in the elections and so on, and will run up to the elections, to put a 30-second ad on all the stations in the United States, just the United States, costs roughly $12 million, one shot. So when you hear that, and you realize that these people have to put out, multiple 30-second ads every day, then you realize the huge amount of money that they have to have in order to reach people. And so it's not, it's a question of, if they don't get that help, they won't be able to do anything. And recently, Elon was mentioned as talking about helping Farage, with some money. And, just so that he can actually have some means to do the things. A lot of the time, these people can barely afford to get on a plane and go from one place to another. They can barely afford to buy the fuel for their cars and so forth. And then when they get to a place, they may all have to go into one room in a hotel and sleep on a floor because they can't afford to do anything else, because who's going to pay for it? And so, and at the same time, there might be really important people whose contribution is needed. No. So Elon helping Trump is it's just within his means to do that. And other people have done the same. But it's not about buying influence or anything like that. No.
No, I know it's again something which you and I have discussed on several occasions. I mean, I like the comparison. It is a father and son relationship, effectively, isn't it? And but what Snyder says, and what I love, I always say this, Errol. What I love about this is that we have a chance to unpack what people are saying and a chance to properly respond, because that's the key to this. So what Snyder's saying, this historian, he compared the Trump-Musk dynamic to Russia in the 1990s, and he likened Trump to a doddering leader surrounded by ambitious oligarchs. And he's termed this phrase Trumpomuskovia to capture the intertwining of Trump, Musk, and the shadow of Russian influence. What's your response to that?
Well, first of all, he's talking about in the case of Trump, somebody whose achievements dwarfed anyone I knew by 1980. 45 years ago, Trump's achievements dwarfed. I was in the same field. His achievements dwarfed everybody else's achievements in 1980.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean. And now you take Elon, his achievements have absolutely left people gobsmacked, left, right, and center. So we're not talking about two half-wits here. We're not talking about two half-wits. We're talking about two people whose ability to see into what is being thrust at them or thrown at them quite clearly. They're not stupid. And so they know, and they'll be joking about it. Trump or Elon might be saying to each other, I heard what you said about me this morning, and they'll have a good laugh about it. You know what I mean? Because they're not stupid.
Yeah. And I think that's so right. You have to always question everything, and so many people talking behind people's backs and trying to stir things up unnecessarily. It is crazy. Will you be going to the inauguration on January the 20th?
It was mentioned to me. It was mentioned to me right after the election. Would I like to go there? And since then, I haven't heard anything. So I actually don't enjoy the flight. I've done it twice this year already to the United States, and I don't really relish it. If you know what I mean, it's harsh. so I've got my daughter going back now, and she's got to make 4 stops before she gets home. And she's got 2 little children. 4 stops. And so, and by the way, the price of the ticket for the 3 of them was £15,000. So I mean, it's just unbelievable. For £15,000, that's what you get. But anyway, no, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind being an observer at such an event. I'd hate to be observed,
right?
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So no, I'd rather, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's terrible to be, he picked his nose, during the course of the evening, did you notice he picked his nose? Oh my God, you know what I mean? So. No, I think I don't need that. Thanks very much. But on the other hand, if something came through solid enough, I might go. I wouldn't like to sit at the back though. I've just been in Dubai. I've been a guest of honor.
I'll carry your bags, Errol, and we'll sit together. We'll have a bit of fun. It should be good.
That's okay. No, you're very, very nice looking. I'm sure they'll give you a nice seat. But for me, I've just been in Dubai, and I was treated very well by the Sheikh of Dubai, and I really enjoyed sitting up at the top and being in the front and all that sort of stuff. But no, I don't like the idea of being at the the sort of standing room level, whatever they call it. You know what I mean?
I want to look at, some more positive news. It's always good to look at the positive things because it often gets buried. Nothing sells more than bad news. Well, some great news, and it's just come out because of some regulatory filings dated 30th of December. What happened is that Elon donated 268,000 Tesla shares to charity, valued at nearly 112 million. How does Elon decide about what he's going to do for charity?
No, the Musk Foundation has a panel of appointed people from people that Elon has known all his life. The beginning made up of the venture capitalists that actually grew with him, some of them, and certain others, certain famous names, you might say, in America, at any rate, they're famous. And they're on that panel, and it's called the Musk Foundation. And at the present time, the Musk Foundation has $10 billion, about 8 billion. I suppose that's about 9 billion pounds. And they get asked for help and assistance. And the assistance is allocated based on the decisions made by those group of people, not by Elon. And that makes sense because, he'd be getting like 6,000 requests a month or something, and he wouldn't be able to handle the pressure, because a lot of the stories are really breaking. And so you need to actually hand that to people who are capable of doing it, the right way, sort of thing. So yes, so he did donate to these charities, and I did see a total amount of donations was quite high. It was very high. I forget what the amount was, maybe $500 million or something.
Yeah, well, I think it was 112 million to charity, according to the latest one. But in 2022, apparently he donated Tesla shares worth 1.95 billion, and in 2021 donated 5.7 billion Tesla shares to his own foundation. Are those figures right? Does that sound right?
Well, I don't run around following that. All I know is that it is done like that. I have charities that never asked me for help. In my case, it was a charity to do with several clinics around the world that take care of people accident brain damaged and born brain damaged, or swimming pool brain damage and so forth. And yes, and so a lot of help was given to them. I mean, it's just that there are so many possible charities, and like I say, the way you do it is you can't be the one who makes the decision. You give it to and of course it's also tied up to the income tax department, that you can't wind up giving some $500 million to some charity in Panama City or something, and it turns out actually you go down there and it's your charity. I mean, you're the charity. You know what I mean? And then it comes off your tax, because you don't have to pay tax on that because it's a charity donation, but it's actually to you, at your little enclave down there. No. Yeah. You have to be very careful with that really type of money, because
people are always fascinated. Well, people are always fascinated by money as opposed to what you can do with that money. And we've discussed this many times on the Andrew Eborn show, is about influence and what Elon's in basically, whether it's exposing wrongdoings around the world or trying to make a difference. It's much more impressive about the influence than the money, isn't it?
Well, the whole point of it is that I think in the taxation system, again, over there, I'm not 100% up on all this kind of thing. I just think of my own country's experience, my own experiences here. You can't make use of the charity donations for your benefit, somehow benefit you indirectly or something like that, without as some way of avoiding tax, that type of thing. So you can imagine that if the Musk Foundation has $10 billion, which it does have, at last count it was $9.8 billion, then how did it get there? It had to be put there, with approval of the IRS, and so you can't escape that. You have to, that's some rules and regulations and stuff like that, and you can't, for example, get a request from your uncle Sid,
Oh yeah, my uncle Sid.
He wants money for the football pools, because he feels he's deprived. He hasn't had a proper.
I think it's so wonderful, and it's something we don't sort of often talk about in the media. Is all the good stuff. As I say, people are always looking at the bad stuff, but I think the positive influence, the positive changes that making to people's lives through charity is great. The other great story is about Starship rocket, and Elon's beating NASA in the space race, and obviously SpaceX's Starship achieved a land-wide launch and recovery on the October the 13th. A new era in reusable heavy lift rockets. Where do you see all of this going? I think it has to be so impressive what's going on in the space race.
Look, it is. My own take on it is that rockets are not, I don't want to get into a deep discussion on this. My own take on it as an engineer is that rockets are not the way for interplanetary travel. And as it happens at the moment, that is the way that SpaceX is trying to go. You know, where they're going to put some people in a large rocket and send them for 18-month trip across space to land on Mars. They've got to be in this thing for all that time. And I don't believe that is the way it's going to happen. I think that in the future, and if certain actions that we are at present trying to take to start new studies on this, that future travel will be what is known as a space-time travel, where in fact you actually move space-time and you move from one place to another. There are no time dilations. There's no inertia problems. You simply step into the time dilation, into the space-time travel here, and you step out of it over there, and it might take 3 hours to set up the where it is that you want to go. So you might then go to Mars in, say, 3 hours, right, if you follow what I mean, by the space-time travel. Yeah. And so that is the way it has to, that's the future. And you might think, well, what am I talking about? Well, all you have to do is go and see a film or read a comic book or read books or something. And for a very long time now, you've been shown that when aliens arrive at Earth, they have these big things that float up in the air. They don't come down to the ground. And if they want to come down, they just come down very slowly. And if they want to go back into space, they go off into space. And of course, that is suggesting that those people and all these scenarios we view as the future, it suggests that gravity has been conquered and that space-time travel has been conquered. So, yes, so that's our popular vision. Yeah. And so anyway, coming back to SpaceX, they are still looking at rockets as a potential means of going across space. I think they're wasting their money. I think it's a very good thing to do it, though, because we're learning a great deal at the same time. But that's just my personal opinion as an engineer. I wouldn't waste time on rockets. I have said to Elon, I think he's wasting his money. I think it's wonderful what they're achieving, on the other hand, because, you know, the technological achievements from that get spread into the world. As you know, I mean, Teflon, which we use in frying pans and things like that, all comes from space.
Oh, that's well, even the Bic Baro and things like that, whether it was invented in space, wasn't it? That sort of stuff. And what I love about it as well is that the efficiency and cost effectiveness, and I figures about 10 million per launch.
Yes.
It may render NASA's costly space launch redundant.
Yes, SpaceX ability and performance is out of this world. And what they are doing, I am simply talking from my point of view in terms of the actual logistics of sending people across space for months at a time in a small capsule. If you understand what I mean, is this realistic? And so my feeling is we have to start looking at other means to do that. But at the same time, as for taking your hat off to SpaceX, well, my hat's off long ago.
Yeah. I think that's right. And as I say, what I love is that shining a spotlight on that. I love ambition. I love a phenomenal sense of achievement, and we should sing from the rooftops about that. And I think Elon's saying that within 30 years he's anticipating 1 million people living on Mars. What's your view on that?
Well, you know, that's what he plans, and they are trying to get there. And now that they have an encouraging sort of administration, and not one that kept, you know, preventing them from doing tests. So, you know, Biden's administration was out to cripple Tesla and cripple SpaceX in any way they could. Don't ask me why. Yeah. And now they have an administration that is going to encourage them and not put silly things in their way. You know, they were prevented from launching a while back because the water that they were dousing onto the flame of the rocket as it descended, which was fresh water, and they doused, you know, many millions of gallons of water onto the flame to prevent, because otherwise it would melt the launching pad. Right. The environmental agency in America told they can't do it, and because it's the water's damaging the environment. And so, they eventually did do it, but they had to pay 150,000 rand fine for doing it. Dollar fine.
I remember all those things. So making sure that appropriate regulations about safety are fine, but over-regulating stultifies innovation. And we've certainly spoken about that. What they need to do is just musk it. That's what they need to do. We'll find. Absolutely. Errol, it's been a delight as always having you on the show. As I say, the feedback is always tremendous. We get great comments from around the world. Love hearing you speak about these things and shining a spotlight where, forgetting just the sound bites, it's unpacking things in a really wonderful way. Yes. So many thanks for that. I look forward to seeing you next time.
Great. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, Andrew.